The Washington Post has a new story here on waste at the Pentagon. They say, the Pentagon has buried an internal study that exposed $125 billion in administrative waste in its business operations amid fears Congress would use the findings as an excuse to slash the defense budget. Pentagon leaders had requested the study to help make their enormous back-office bureaucracy more efficient and reinvest any savings in combat power. But after the project documented far more wasteful spending than expected, senior defense officials moved swiftly to kill it by discrediting and suppressing the results. So that's hilarious because, understand, so they were looking for waste so that they could say, okay, let's, fix that and then reallocate the funds to actual defense and not to like overhead nonsense. So they find a lot, $125 billion worth of overhead nonsense and waste. And they go, oh, shit. That's such a high number that I give up. Let's just leave it waste. What? Your conclusion should be the exact opposite. Oh my God, that's so much waste. Let's get to work. Let's get rid of the $125 billion in waste. Let's reallocate something that makes sense. They're like, no. It's so bad, leave it. It's like you're cleaning your house and you find that it's so goddamn dirty that you're like, I give up. Might as well make it even dirtier. No, that doesn't make sense. But it does make sense when you actually feel like it's not really yours. So if you're cleaning your house and you find it's really dirty and too dirty for you to give a fuck, and then come to find out that's actually not really your house. You're just renting it. So you're going to move out next week. You could just move out next week. It is what it is. Leave it dirty as fuck. That's how they view the military. That's how they view the government. Am I really connected to this giant behemoth? No. Use it for my personal benefit and then I'm out. So that's what they're doing. I don't know. I really don't care about this in any serious way. I'm not a patriot. I don't care about America. I don't care about our military. Waste, it is what it is. It's not my money. It's just all the taxpayers. It's the American people's money. So I don't give a fuck. I couldn't care less. It is what it is. I got mine. Now I'm out. I mean, you want to talk about a scandal. Imagine for a second we found out a government program that was helping the poor. They just blew through $125 billion on nonsense. It was just waste. How would the Republicans respond? How would everybody respond? That's indefensible, and we should get rid of the program. For fuck's sake, remember the scandal with Acorn? They're spending funds wrong. Gotta scrap them. Was it $125 billion worth? No. Oh, waste. Too much waste. We gotta rid of the food stamp program. They try to gut the food stamp program all the time because they go, so much waste, so we gotta gut it. What are we gonna do? When the military, $125 billion, and then we have the evidence that they covered it up after the fact, they're like, is what it is, dog, is what it is. Notice, they're never concerned about fiscal responsibility when it's for the military. When it's for you, that's all they talk about. Oh, it's a program that helps the poor. Oh, it's a program that helps the middle class. Can we afford it? I don't think we can afford it. We gotta do cutbacks. Oh, we're gonna go bomb Syria. Let's go do that. Nobody ever says, hey, can we afford that? Hey, hold on now. We have 800 military bases around the world. It costs $100 billion a year to keep up with that. We got 7 interventions going on right now. The war in Iraq cost trillions of dollars. I'm not sure we can afford this. By the way, it's not working. There are more terrorists now than there were when we started the war on terror. But I'm not sure we can afford this anyway. Nobody ever says that. Nobody ever says that. You want to know why? Because they've brainwashed you that that's patriotism. Patriotism is letting your military do whatever it wants, and you don't say a goddamn thing. And if you say something, are you unpatriotic? Do you hate America? Why isn't it the other way around? Why isn't it? No, the patriotic thing to do is to question your military and make sure you're doing the right thing. And oh yeah, the patriotic thing to do is also to say, are you trying to cut a program that feeds kids? Why are you unpatriotic? Why do you hate America? That's the real framing that makes sense. You want to cut a program that's looking after the poorest and most vulnerable among us, fellow Americans who are struggling? What kind of a fucking monster are you? That's the framing that makes sense, but that's not the framing we get. We get the exact opposite. Don't you dare question the military. If you question the military, you're unpatriotic. But it's also the patriotic thing to do to make sure you cut the food stamp program and programs that are looking after the poor and most vulnerable among us. And by the way, so what we're talking about here, $125 billion, this is in waste. But there's another fact too. Because in terms of like shitty bookkeeping and just not knowing where the money is going, did you know that there's $6.5 trillion that we can't track? This is in the Pentagon. 6.5 trillion. So the 125 billion is waste. 6.5 trillion is, yeah, we spent it, not really sure exactly where it went. You want to know why that's the case? It's by design. You want to know why? Because we have the military-industrial complex, where defense contractors, who are really offense contractors, pay the politicians. So the politicians give them gigantic no-bid contracts, and they get to make more tanks and more fucking fighter jets and helicopters and Kevlar vests and, army vehicles. And they get to sell them all around the world. They get to price gouge the shit out of the American taxpayer. They get to let these things pile up in a desert in Nevada. More tanks. We don't even know what to do with them all. Anyway, let's continue to give them another contract to do more tanks, even though we still have more than we know what to do with. Let's spend over $1 trillion on a jet that didn't fly, the new F-35. And what are you going to do? It is what it is. That's what it is. That's what we do. We're part of this corrupt machine where the politicians get paid by the defense contractors and then they give them no-bid contracts. And it's $125 billion in waste over here, $6.5 trillion that we don't know where it went. Look at the reconstruction of Iraq and Afghanistan. Same thing. Tremendous amounts of money. Just, we don't know where it went. I don't know where it went. Because it went into the pockets of some guy who paid a politician. That's why. Again, don't question that. You're corrupt. You're unpatriotic. They're actually corrupt. But they claim you're unpatriotic if you question that. You bring this up, forget it. Forget it. What you have to say is cut all the programs for regular people and give unlimited money to the military. That's their stance on it. It should be the opposite. We should make sure we look after the poor and the most vulnerable among us, and we should hold our military accountable. And now we have all the evidence of a giant cover-up and extreme amounts of waste. So conservatives, where the fuck are you? I thought you cared about waste in government. I thought you wanted smaller government. Now we know $125 billion in waste, and then they just say, let's cover up the report that has it too. Because that makes us look bad. And also the $6.5 trillion that we don't even know where it went. Where are you calling for accountability? Where are you calling for being a deficit hawk? We need to crack down on this. Nobody could have a serious conversation about getting our house in order in the U.S. until we have a serious conversation about cutting the military massively. 54% of our discretionary budget is for the military. That's insanity. We spend more than about the next 10 nations combined, and most of them are our allies. We have to stop the madness. How much more evidence do you need?